Okay, good morning to all. Next, going to discuss about the chapter number 7 of computer application advanced features of C. So, in the advanced features of C, these articles we're going to cover functions and passing parameters to the function. That means call by value, call by reference, scope of variables, and storage classes. Recursion functions and types of recursion, one-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, string operations, and pointers. Pointers expression and pointer arithmetic programming assignments using the above, and the feature structure and union. First is your functions of C. What are the functions in C? A function is a set of statements that takes input, does some specific computational, and produces output. And the general form of function is return type function, name, argument 1, type argument 1. So these are the functions. The return type of function. What are the return type? Return type means what are the value will return after the execution of the function. So here an example of this function has included std.h int max int a comma int b int main int a equal to 10 b equal to 20 int m equal max a comma b printf, and these are this, right? So these are the example of a function. So let's look what are the components of the function here. In this same program, has include stdio.h int max of int a comma int b. These are the function prototype declaration, right? And this is the what is the function prototype declaration. Prototype means it tells to the compiler what are the return type of the function, what is the name of the function, and what are the argument, what are the type of the argument, here integer, right? So once you declare the prototype declaration, that means this type of declaration once you done, that means you can change the structure of the function within that program. That means when this max, suppose you write here int a comma int b, but you are trying to pass the argument suppose float, then the compiler tends to give the error message. So int a equal to 10, b equal to 20. Next is your calling of a function to find max of a and b. This is the calling area from where the function is called by the main function. This is the semicolon indicates that this function is called by the main function. Now this is then one is the function definition is there. Here the declaration, this is the definition. That means if x greater than y, return x, else return y. And these are the two type of arguments are used here. One is your actual arguments, a int b. This is the formal arguments were used in the definition area. So formal argument means what? The formal argument means it will catch the value. What are the value will pass from the actual argument. Clear? So again go to back. Why do you need functions? First is your function help us in reducing code redundancy. If functionality is performed in multiple places in software, then rather than writing the same code again and again, we create a function and call it everywhere. Right? So redundancy, you can minimize the redundancy problem. Next, functions make code modular. Consider a big file having many lines of codes. It becomes really simple to read and use the code if the code is divided into functions. Next is your functions provide abstraction. For example, we can use library functions without worrying about their internal working. Function declaration. A function declaration tells the compiler about the number of parameters functions takes, data types of parameters, and return type of function. What is the purpose of a function prototype? The function prototype serves the following purpose. It tells the return type of the data that the function will return. It tells the number of arguments passed to the function. It tells the data types of each of the passed argument. Also it tells the order in which the arguments are passed to the function. So that is the purpose of a function prototype. Right? Parameter passing to function. The parameter passed to the function are called actual arguments. For example, in the above program, 10 and 20 are actual parameters. The parameter received by function are called formal parameters. For example, in the above program, x and y are the formal parameters. There are two most popular ways to pass parameters, pass by value and pass by reference. You can pass the value to the function, you can pass the value as address, that means reference to the function. Next is what are the call by value and call by reference in C. First is your call by value in C. In call by value method, the value of the actual parameter is copied into the formal parameter. In other words, we can say that the value of the variable is used in the function call in the call by value method. And here the value will pass through this function. This example, async_state.h void swap int prototype the function int main. This example, here you can swap two numbers, that means you can change the value. Initial value is equal to 10, b equal to 20, right? And after that, when you swapping the value, it will be the 20 and 10, that means a carries 20, b carries 10. Here you can pass the value through the function, right? Next is your call by reference. Reference means you can pass the address. Here pointers are used, pointers, that is pointer value are used. So you can pass the value, call by reference, void swap int star int main int equal 10, int b equal 20, right? So these are the, you can see here. So it will be written the swapping values of a and b to the call by reference. Next is your recursion function and types of recursion. What do you mean the recursion? Now the process in which a function calls itself directly or indirectly is called recursion, and the corresponding functions is called as recursive function. So what are the types of recursion? Recursion are mainly of two types depending on whether a function calls itself from within itself or more than one function called one another mutually. There is the type of the first one is called direct recursion, another one is called indirect recursion. There are three types of due to recursion: direct, indirect. Under the direct recursion, tail recursion, head recursion, tree recursion, linear recursion, right? And this is the indirect recursion. The example of the recursion program. Next, come to the arrays in C programming. An array in C or C++ is a collection of items stored at continuous memory location, and elements can be accessed randomly using indices of an array, and they are used to store similar types of elements, as in the data types must be the same for all elements. So array is nothing, it is a contiguous memory location and having the homogeneous data types. That means it contains a similar type of data types. That means when you declare the array is integer type of array, then you are not allowed to store the float values, right? So these are the array length equal to 9, array first index is 0, last index is 8, and the values are stored in the arrays. An array declaration is similar to the form of a normal declaration, and the general form is type name, array name size, list of values. So these are the arrays: type of name, what are the return type, array name, and list of the values. And these are the example of one-dimensional array. Generally there are two types, one is one-dimensional and another multi-dimensional arrays. So in one-dimensional arrays, these are the example. These are the example: character name is 20, that is the one-dimensional array, and these are the value: async_state.h int main int m equal to 10 to, that is the known as the one-dimensional array. Next is your two-dimensional array, and this is a 2D form. Alright, in the two-dimensional array can be defined as an array of arrays, and the 2D array is organized as matrices which can be represented as the collection of rows and columns, right? And however, two-dimensional arrays are clear to implement a relational database look like data structure. It provides ease of holding the bulk of data. Suppose you want to store Pearl Cup data, that means you are using the two-dimensional array. So for this session, thank you to all. From the next, we are going to discuss about another topic. Okay, thank you to all.